So, you saw Tai Killer's tier list, didn't you? Maybe it was that Jung video, or you probably saw those Reddit comments. Everyone's talking Poison Seismic. It is the best build you can play this league. And if you haven't played it yet, I really do recommend. It's one of those league starters that's just got it all. Some builds you gotta give up a little bit on something. Maybe you give a little damage up. Maybe you make it really squishy. Ugh, cringe. Poison Seismic, baby's got it all. You're fully ailment immune as soon as you upgrade your Pantheon and get one boot craft. You just do the move speed cannot be chilled craft. You go capture whoever the hell from whatever the f and upgrade your Brain King. You got your life regen from being a Saboteur. You get your damage because it's Seismic Trap and Poison. You use Determination and Grace. And since your damage was so free, you get to spend a bunch of points on the tree and use a bunch of your gear slots to just boost yourself even further. You get max res on your shield if you want. You get some PDR on your chest piece. You just boost yourself. Get a huge molten shell. You get your reduced damage from being a Saboteur. 15 reduced damage taken. What the hell? You just get global 15 reduced damage taken. What the hell is that? It's dumb. Okay, it's stupid. Making these POBs made me want to play this stuff. And even though that would be so fucking cringe to play this on stream, I still want to play it. That's how good this shit is. If you want me to take your hand from the Twilight Strand and walk you all the way to the Ubers, you're going to want to check out that Maxroll article, though. Tai Killer, he'll help you through the leveling. You'll have no problems. And you'll probably get through it pretty fast, even without some practice. Once you get to maps, he hands you off to me. Seamless transition. You know what's crazy about Poison Seismic too? Oh, you're going to see this on so many builds. You wouldn't guess it. What's the weapon going to be, huh? What's that weapon going to be? Well, it's a physical spell. You know, some extra chaos damage wouldn't be so bad since we're poison. Yeah, we're going to use obliteration, all right? Hell fucking... Hell yeah, we're going to use obliteration. Hell yeah. Now you swap it for cold iron point on bosses. But man, this build's fun. I'm not gonna lie, man. I might just do an SSF restart halfway through the league just so I could play this build. Because I'll tell you what, there is no way that this build gets through one more patch cycle without being utterly obliterated. There's no way. GGG's out here like, oh, well, if I go to POE Ninja, there's not that many people playing it. Motherfucker, are you watching the gauntlet? Do you guys just want these people to play Poison Seismic every single league to kill the Uber bosses for the next few years? What kind of reasoning is that, dude? Spice it up a little bit. What? You don't do some competitive meta balancing? Come on. I'm going to start nerfing stuff like this a little bit harder than they have been. Because with a build this good, you can't help but play it. Now, we're out of budget for all the cool editing stuff. I don't even know how much I did on this one. Maybe I got lazy. I did like one explosion or something. I don't know. Here, I'll do a flip. One flip for you. And then we'll just do the POB talk. All right, there you go. You happy? All right, big smoochies. Mwah. See you guys on the flip side. All right, we got the all-in-one POB now. We have leveling. We got these skill sets, which makes it really clean. So I can have a leveling skill set, early, mid-game, end-game, right? It's super easy to just line these up. So leveling, you've got this. You got all the leveling trees from level 1 all the way through for when you get to Blood Aqueduct and you're going to swap for your diadem, everything. Okay, we got it all here. We got all the gear sets too, of course. I don't have a leveling gear set, but do you really? I'm going to stop doing that, all right? No more leveling gear sets, no. All right, no, none of that, okay? Just get res on your gear. Okay, I'm not going to add a bunch of res and life rares. No more. Enough of this. But yeah, here you go. You're going to level as Splitting Steel with a Duelist Mule till level 12, and then you get Poisonous Concoction, and you just level as a Poisonous Concoction character until Blood Aqueduct. And when you hit Blood Aqueduct, you're going to swap over to Seismic Trap. So it's pretty easy. The one really important thing that's easy to miss is you got to make sure that you take the 300% increased poison damage node right here on the Poison Mastery. We don't use this when we go to Seismic Trap in Blood Aqueducts, but for Poisonous Concoction, it's really, really good. And you super feel that when you pick that node up. There's like a minimal respec here. When you hit BA, you're going to respec out of the evasion life nodes. You're going to respec out of this little attack speed, poison duration, and poison chance wheel. And that's about it. Pretty simple, pretty painless as far as this goes. So let's just go over the early game skills, tree, and gear set. So we have a no diadem. This is no diadem dom. The devouring diadem. Jesus, I can't get that out of my head. The devouring diadem. All right, when you don't have this helmet, that is the early game. So your number one goal is going to be trying to obtain that helmet, because this helmet enables determination, And it frees a lot of points up on the tree from you having to travel for Eldritch Battery. Not a lot, but, you know, it's nice. But the big thing is Determination. Before that, we're not running Determination. If you want to run Determination, you can take out Skitterbots and Arctic Armor if you're feeling a little squishy. And then you're also going to swap Immortal Call for Molten Shell if you're using Determination. Otherwise, I have an Endurance Charge on Kill Ring here that makes it so you get Endurance Charges for when your Immortal Call procs, and that should be good enough until you get your Devouring Diadem. But if it's not, you just do those things. You swap that stuff. Bing, bong, boom. The big thing here is Obliteration Wand for your gearing. So let's just go over the gear quick. I keep bouncing around. But gearing, Obliteration Wand, it's insane. You can use this on Poison Sabo. It's really, really good. This is some really sick stuff, okay? Being able to use this with Exsanguinate, like this counts as you killing things more often than not with your Exsanguinate. There should be no problems with you using this because anytime your poison is going to kill something, that counts as your kill. And anytime Exsanguinate's damage over time kills something, that also counts as your kill. So a vast majority of the time, these should be counting as your kills and you should be getting the explosions. It's cheap, and that Fizz as extra chaos is nearly as much damage as Cold Iron Point is nowadays since they buffed this one. So it's an insane pickup. You just use it. You use it while you're mapping. You will never take this off while you're mapping. It will always be your mapping weapon. Later on, when you do bosses, you have to use a Cold Iron Point or a Crafted Dagger. But for now, you just use Obliteration. Other than that, because we're Eldritch Battery, so that we can get a Malevolence proc on Divine Blessing, and so that we don't have to worry about mana costs or using Life Tap on literally all of our links, we need to pick up Evasion and Energy Shield bases and ES bases, right? Both will work. Both will be good enough. But the big thing here is just having some ES bases. It's really important that all your gear is Evasion, Energy Shield. I know you might want to get that Dragon Scale stuff. I do too, but you got to hold on that. Your Amulet is just going to have dot multi, and you're going to craft Trap Throw Speed. It's going to be like the same thing for your belt. You're just going to have that Trap Throw Speed craft on your belt and your Amulet throughout all the gear sets. You're really going to want to have that there. Now, sometimes you might have to give it up. I think in the final gear set, I had to give it up just so we have enough res to do stuff, but generally, belt and Amulet always have Trap Throw Speed. And then it's just an Endurance Charge on Kill Ring, just so the Immortal Call actually does something. It lasts a little bit longer, mitigates a little more Fizz, and then you just have that Min Endurance Charge as a little more Fizz DR or whatever. For your boots, try to get Onslaught on Kill. Even though your traps, most of the time, like we mentioned before, your poison, your damage over time, those kills count to you, so it's an easy place to get Onslaught as a buff. As far as your skill gems go, we have all the ordering here. I don't know why I say we. I'm the only I'm the only magic finder doing this POB, but I have all the things ordered here. Grace, Herald of Agony, Skitter, Arctic Armor. Arctic Armor kind of sucks, but there's just nothing else to put here. You could do like Vitality if you want. You could do, I don't know. You could do some weirds. You could do like, I don't know, Tempest Shield, I guess, right? You can use any other aura here if you want. You could use Defiance Banner, but we don't have that much armor, and you don't really need that little boost in evasion rating. There's just not a good pickup here, so you just use Arctic Armor until you get Devouring Diadem, and you can use your Determination there instead. Here's the Malevolence Divine Blessing. Keep Divine Blessing at level 1. Then we just got Shield Charge, Exsanguinate, and Blade Trap. These are 2 boot options, okay? Pay attention. Blade Trap, big bosses only. You will use Blade Trap and a Dagger, which has +1 to a Rune Dagger that has +1 to level of all of his spells, or a Cold Iron Point. You got to have one of those because Blade Trap uses your Dagger, Claw, or Sword, one-hand sword, to deal damage. And we're going to use that to apply Wither because using Wither Totems is giga cringe. And having to hop on the boss and get Wither Step activated on them is omega cringe as well, because it's number 1, a pain in the ass, and number 2, you only get like 7 Wither stacks, I believe. So it kind of just sucks. You can use it for that first burst to make sure your opening on the boss is really good, but insofar as sustained Wither stacks, it blows. So you use Blade Trap with Withering Touch that has a 25% chance to wither on hit. Cluster Trap and duration to make your withers last longer. Duration isn't a very good link, but since it's in your boots, I'm not going to tell you to recolor your boots every time you come up across a pinnacle boss. So this is going to be your Eater and your Exarch, your quest bosses. This could be something like your very first Maven, your Uber Elder for your Void Stones, or maybe you're pushing for Guardians or something. I'm just doing increased duration here because it's an easy red link that actually does something. Later on, we will replace this for additional accuracy because your blade trap accuracy is like 50% or something. So you have like a 50% chance to hit, a 25% chance proc. So it's pretty bad. So yeah, eventually you do additional accuracy, but then you need a white socket on your boots for that. For now, just whatever. Cast damage taken a Mortal Call. We already talked about that. Flame Dash. And then you have your Despair, your Temp Chains, your Wither Step. So your opening on the boss is going to be laying your Seismic traps down, activating the boss, and then you're going to want to, well, you lay all your Seismics down, you do a couple blade traps, right? To kind of like pre-stack it, or a couple X-Ang, so you get that increased trap damage. And then you pop the boss, you activate your Focus, you Despair, and you Temp Chain. These are self-cast. There's just not a better way to do it. If you want, you could swap out Wither Step and not use that for like an initial burst in Wither stacks. It's 6 here. You kind of want Wither Step for mapping, but let's say if you really don't want to self-cast your curses and whatnot, there is that new curse support where you have a cursed ground. I don't know if when you link that with Despair and Temp Chains, it would have a cursed ground that applies Despair and Temp Chains. If it does, that could be pretty good, right? That could be pretty nice for bossing setups where you're kind of just like pre-laying all of your stuff. But if it only applies one of them, you might as well just press like the extra button and not have to deal with that. And then you have your Wither Step for a big boost as well. But yeah, if you do get the Focus duration and you want the damage, you can swap your helmet craft for that. But as far as the helmet and body armor crafts here, we have Fizz taken as fire, and then Fizz taken as fire and lightning. Just because, again, we don't have armor, we don't really have Fizz mitigation, so this is like the only like copium amount that we can get. The tree is pretty easy. It's just you have to come down here. The big swap is once you get an anointment for the early game. That's the only thing. So as soon as you can anoint Toxic Strikes for a clear Amber Crimson, you do that, you swap those points out, and then you can get some extra trap stuff. When you level up, you can get some extra duration, some dot multi, trap throw speed, etc. You can get all that good stuff. Yeah, and then we're just going to go to the mid game. So, and you know, you see here what I did there. I lined up mid game tree, mid game skill, mid game gear. Big mid game thing. It's Diadem, right? It's in the name, mid game Diadem. You get this by killing I'm not going to spoil it, okay? But you get this for killing the mastermind behind the Syndicate encounter, Devouring Diadem. You want this to be unveiled with duration of ailments you inflict while focused. If it's not, that's okay for now, but you do miss a huge amount of damage by not having that on your helmet, but you do get to fit in Determination. And the thing is, with this build, you're not really gonna, like, if you're starting to push into red maps, your damage is probably gonna be okay without the focus craft. You just would lose out against bosses and whatnot, right? It's not like you're not gonna be able to clear your Atlas. This isn't a make it or break it. So if you kill your Katarina and you don't unveil it, like, I would still put it on. That's pretty much what I'm saying, right? So yeah, but that's what you want. And now when you get this, you can swap your helmet auras, dropping Arctic armor and fitting in Determination now, which is really, really big. Now we can have like 20,000 armor. And since we have armor and evasion rating, it's now worth it to use Defiance Banner in an unset ring. So you want to make sure you pick up one of those as soon as you get your Devouring Diadem. Everything else is pretty much the same. None of the Seismic Trap links. Malevolence is still the same. You still have Exsanguinate, Blade Trap. The one thing that does change is, like we said, now that we have Determination, we use Molten Shell instead of a Mortal Call, instead of that really scuffed stuff. And then you still self-cast your curses. Let's see. I guess for your shield, we didn't talk about this last time, but there's a lot of Syndicate crafts that you can get really early on that are super helpful. So like we said, like I said, it's trap throw speed, physical damage is extra chaos. I must have someone in my head with me, dude. You know, they're in the walls talking with me. We helped make this guide, right? The people in my head helped make this. Okay, Fizz taken as Chaos, Trap Throw Speed. The Hybrid Chaos Res mods are really good. And then the Fizz taken as Elemental from Corel and from Gravicious for your helmet and your body armor. This Fizz taken as Extra Chaos is from It That Fled. So you see with this build, Syndicate is really big. It's super important that you get started on all of your Syndicate missions so you can get your Devouring Diadem, or at least have a chance at getting one right away from your Katarina. So you can unveil Fizz taken as Chaos from It That Fled, the Fizz taken as Fire and Lightning from Gravicious, and then Trap Throw Speed for your belt and your amulet. It's super big stuff. The only other stuff here that's, you know, kind of being fleshed out is the anointments. You're starting to get like some influence, so you can get Trap Throw Speed on your gloves. You get Fizz taken as Extra Chaos here on your boots. And then the unset ring, and then you're kind of just making your pieces a lot better. You're picking up a Stygian so that you can gain phasing on kill, and when you gain phasing on kill on your Abyss Jewel, that allows you to drop your Quartz Flask if you want. It could be a little uncomfortable. It's not really super reliant, that phasing on kill from an Abyss Jewel, so you can keep the Quartz, but if you do drop the Quartz Flask and you don't mind having not 100% uptime on phasing, then you can get Sin's Rebirth, which gives you Unholy Might, which is like 20% damage or something. Yeah, you get like 30% physical as Extra Chaos, so it's just a nice little 20% damage boost. It's pretty good. And you see here, we still have some energy shield pieces. Our body armor is a armor evasion, but our shield is still evasion ES, and our boots and gloves are still ES, although they could also be evasion ES. And that's to make sure that you have enough energy shield to cast your Malevolence with Eldritch Battery. And when you get Diadem, now we go to the tree. And when you get Diadem, it allows you to drop EB because it has Eldritch Battery on there. And at this point, you have your Anoint, so you've also dropped that down there. And so now we have our mid-game Diadem tree. We're kind of just fleshing that out. As you go to level 95, you can get some extra Chaos damage, you can get some extra Aura Effect, get damage deals faster, and then we moved to Scion. Now that we can use Determination, we took those points, we moved into Scion, and that's to get extra strength so that you don't have to find like a bunch of strength somewhere else. That's one thing about Obliteration as well, is that you got to have enough int for it, but it's really not that much of a pain. In the early game, to get enough int for Obliteration, you just use an Agate Amulet, and I believe you just take this node. You take Cold Hearted. And since you're traveling to EB and you're up here, that's enough int for Obliteration. So that works out like really well. Let's see. Yeah, that's it for mid game. I guess your jewel. Oh, we pick up int on this jewel here since we have to for the mid game. Like I said, when we go to EB, we get enough int for Obliteration, but when you drop that, you have to get int on a jewel. That's the one thing. All right, end game. Going by pretty quick, dude. It's a pretty easy build. So for endgame, the big thing here is getting lots of damage, because that's kind of what the whole point of the build is. So for your endgame stuff, you're going to swap your body armor out for a Skin of the Lords. Skin of the Lords has a keystone on it, so just make sure you don't get a stinky keystone. It should be pretty easy for you to just Google a keystone and then read it and ask yourself, does this hurt my build? So let's, Avatar of Fire. Deal no non-fire damage. Well, that hurts the build. If you don't know why, then you should probably go play a different game. Okay, Unwavering Stance. Cannot evade. Well, you have to ask yourself, do we have a lot of evasion rating? And you look, and we have 40,000 evasion rating. So yeah, we would not take that unless we're literally only bossing, and then you would. All right, Mind Over Matter. Yeah, we definitely wouldn't take that either. It's just going to chunk our energy shield because we have Eldritch Battery, right? But something dumb like Call to Arms, this does nothing for us. It's no issue to take Call to Arms at all. Crimson Dance, this doesn't matter at all, right? Like we have nothing with bleeding. It doesn't matter if our bleeds are worse. Resolute Technique doesn't really matter. We don't crit. Yeah, it's just, it's a non-issue, right? A lot of these are just kind of like, doesn't really matter. But yeah. We do this because it gives +2 levels and global defense, which gives us huge armor, huge evasion rating. And those +2 levels are going to be really big because they also give Empower +2 levels, which also gives Seismic +2 levels. So now this chest piece ends up giving Seismic like +4 levels when you've got your Empower. And that's really, really good because now we have like a level 31 Seismic trap with our Cold Iron Point, which we only use for bossing. All the other links are the same, except now you're getting Awakened Deadly Ailments and Awakened Unbound Ailments. Your auras are the same. Just pick up like level 21 Grace, level 21 Determination. We still use Herald of Agony, but if you can scoop a Divergent Herald of Agony, then it allows you to drop this Curse Mastery and not be reliant on cursed enemies for that extra 20% poison chance, which is really nice while clearing. And yeah, it's just really nice. And the new Curse Mastery that you probably would choose would be the reduced extra critical damage taken from cursed enemies, because that's kind of just dumb. That note is dumb. It's like 40%. This is exactly the same. Nothing changed here. Your Exsanguinate is going to be the same. Your Blade Trap now, because this is Endgame, I expect you to go and have Varician research to add some white sockets to your boots once they're crafted and you've got something you're a little proud of, and to add additional accuracy in there so that your Blade Trap doesn't have like 50 something hit chance, right? Look at this, 57 hit chance. And that means your Blade Trap has to hit like 8 times to apply 1 Wither. It's pretty bad until you apply additional accuracy, and now it's 93. So now it only has to hit like 4 times, which is really, really nice to apply your Withers. If you can get Divergent Withering Touch, then you have an additional 20% chance to apply Wither debuff when inflicting Withered, which is really nice. So you've got a 25% chance plus a 20. Yeah, it's kind of just really nice. Big pickup here for your casting damage taken setup. Since we don't hit 50,000 armor, which is the cap for maxing out your Molten Shell, it's really good to pick up an Anomalous Molten Shell. Anomalous Molten Shell just lets you, it takes how much armor you have and just lets you have a bigger bubble than you normally would. All right, to explain it simply, just look at it. Okay, increases your max hit. The bubble's just bigger. Okay, it's really nice. And then Anomalous casting damage taken for duration. Despair is the same. Temp change is the same. You can pick up an Anomalous Withering Step for an extra 2 Withered debuffs. So instead of 6, now it's 8. It's kind of just nice. It's technically upgrades. And your Unset Ring is still going to be Defiance Banner. So let's go back to the... Let's go back. I got a little sidetracked. At this point, you absolutely should have a duration of ailments while focused craft on your Devouring Diadem. Your gear is going to start being like really kind of more strict. So you want Suppression, Intelligence, a Resistance, Life, and then your craft here. This league is going to be really easy to just get fractured stuff. So a lot of my POBs are going to have fractured modifiers. A lot of the Maxroll crafting instructions are going to tell you to get fractured stuff because it's just really, really, really easy to craft on fractured here with essences and whatnot. But yeah, you just have tight gear restrictions to fit in a bunch of damage. Your gloves, you're going to pick up the 10% chance to poison on these. That plus the Divergent Herald of Agony kind of just lets you get away with not having to anoint for toxic strikes and not having to take this mastery. So now your anointment can be Corruption for that increased effect of Withered, which is a huge amount of damage, right? That's like a 10%, 12% damage anointment, which is just bonkers. It's really, really good. But you can only replace that once you get 10% chance to poison on your gloves. And then you get trap throw speed, right? You see with all the gear now, with the tree, we drop this whole ranger area. So you have to get suppression on your gear. You can't be this lazy little bum about it. You got to get suppression on your gloves, on your shield, and on your boots now. Nothing changed on the boots, yeah. Like for all this gear, you just get fractured suppression. You use a resistance essence to get another resistance, and then you Eldritch for your life. Or, you know, in the shield example, you get fractured suppression, and then you just greed until you hit like int or cold res or a different res, or maybe you get int somewhere else, right? It's just all going to depend. Your Ami, you get fractured +1 fizz, and then you're going to use a rage So the strength essence until you hit dot multi. It kind of takes like 100 something. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but I mean, you got dot multi +1, and then you got trap throw speed. And you can do the like suffix can't be changed, veiled chaos, craft mana, unveil life for your prefix if you want. Hopefully you got your suffix open still afterwards so you can craft trap throw speed. Otherwise, GG's, dude. All right, Mings. It's insane. This ring is insane. This ring is insane. Look at this. I have minus 19 chaos res. And then I put the Ming on and I have 60 chaos res. You get like you get almost all your chaos res for your build with your Mings, and it's just a dumb amount of damage. We go from 3 million, like I get 65% damage from this. So you just grab a well-rolled Mings, you use the stinky catalyst or whatever gives chaos, and there you go. Unset ring is just triple res crafted life, and then your Stygian is more life, more res, and trap throw speed. Still having the phasing and sins. And then your Watcher Eye, you get dot multi here. That's it for the Maxroll POB. I do have like a final POB where you just have this one setup. It doesn't have like everything. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, final. I just didn't want to include the final in the Maxroll one because I don't have a Maxroll like crafting guide or a gear set or whatever in the article for the final. But the final just boosts the damage even more, right? 8.8 million per seismic. It's kind of dumb. Then you're still like tanky as hell, right? With all the evasion, all the armor, your suppression and whatnot. You get a little max res there too. But yeah, this one is just even tighter on everything. So now you get like a Skin of the Loyal instead of Lords for +2, +2, +1. So it's giving +5 total to your seismic. And since you're not using Loyal, it opens up your Empower to become a Void Manipulation. So you just do Awaken Void Manip for that. Jeez Louise. And then everything else is kind of the same. Yeah, you still have like all the anomalous stuff, all the whatever that you did before. You're kind of just swapping to this, and that opens up a lot. You're getting an enchant here, and you're kind of just starting to fracture like everything, crafting everything, and getting like really, really tight pieces where now you've got like a huge amount of resistances here. You're actually getting chaos res on your gear instead of relying just on Mings, and then you're crafting stuff so that you can have like damage during flask effect. You're getting cannot be chilled. You're having like super high triple suffix boots. You're doing like higher elevated or whatever it's called, eldritch implicits and whatnot. Now you're getting a +1/+1 with dot multi, life, and trap throw speed amulet. Right, is getting very tight. You're fracturing dot multi on your ring so that you can have a really nut ring. Then your Stygian is just going to be triple res, even though we give up the trap throw speed. I think it's worth it. Otherwise, if not, I can probably change some stuff around, but that was the only way for me to fit the res in with everything else. I figure dot multi is better than trap throw speed, 15 versus 12, but you know, maybe I'm wrong. Someone can call me out on that. But yeah, it's kind of just fitting in a lot more damage by having crazy tight gear restrictions, which I didn't want to put on the Maxroll article because it's a little, I can't get like too crazy with that, right? It's supposed to be a little new or player friendly. But then, yeah, we get a bunch of chaos res, so we can take full advantage of this mastery, which gives us like 7% damage. It's pretty dummy thick. It's really dummy thick. But yeah, huge poison seismic damage. Yeah, so that's the whole build guide. Like and subscribe if you're playing this. I almost got baited into playing this, but I still think I'm gonna play CF Champ. I really want to play CF Champ. And I got all these people telling me that CF Champ is not a good character to clear Atlas with, and I kind of want to show them to shove it.